Hello, this is Muhammad Usman and this is the fifth tutorial of C++ programming. In this tutorial we will learn about the filing, how we can store the data in the file and how we can get the data from the file and print on the screen. So I have created an empty project and then I have created a simple .cpp file with the name filing.cpp, and I have write the following code already. Now for reading the file or writing the file, you need an fstream file, which is actually to manipulate with the file, to store data or to retrieve data from the file. And iostream is actually the input stream from the user, and then if you want to print that data or store data into that particular file, then you need to use this fstream header file. And this string header file is actually used to take the data in the string format. So this is how we can use all of these things. Now I'm for reading the file or writing the file, you need to create an object of ostream or istream. Istream is actually for the input stream when you are going to read data from the file, and ostream is actually when you want to write data into the file. So for that you need to create the object of ostream. Now I'm going to create the object of ostream. Name of the object, whatever you want, like it's same like a variable. I'm going to write it here, my file. And now what name of the file, what file you want to open or create. For example, I'm going to write it here, test.txt. Number one is it takes two parameter. Number one is the name of the file, and number two is the mode in which you want to open that particular file. I have let me show you. So here it is. These are actually the mode of the file, mode for the opening the file. If you are just use this ios : in, this is just for input and this is just for output, and this is for actually to store data in the binary format, and similarly this is to store the data at initial position, and this append mode is actually to store the data at the end of the file. It means if a file already contains some data, then it stores the data at the end of that particular data in that particular file. So this is how we can use these mods in our program. Mod for my file, ios : app. These are my mod for opening this example.txt file. Now I'm going to check that whether my file is will open or not. If my file opens successfully, then I'm going to perform some operation, otherwise I will show some error because of some reason my file is not opened. Now for that I need to check my file dot is open. If it's true, then I'm going to use some perform some operation on my file. For that you need to use simply, I'm going to take the some name of the user, like int string name. Now int like marks. These two variable I'm going to take input from the user and then store it into the file. Now cin, cout, enter record, \n for the next line. Now cin name and again cin marks. So I have taken the input from the user. Now I'm going to write these two variables into my file. For that I need to use this object of my offstream file. For that I need to write the name of the file, my file, and then the symbol which I use to print on the screen. Here I use this symbol to write on the file. So now whatever the variable you want to write into the file, write it here as name. Now if you want to put next line here, then you simply write it here end line, as you use this end line for the screen. Now my file again, and marks semicolon. Now the function I want to use, whatever the operation I want to use is completed. Now I'm just in the else part, I simply write that the file is not opened, somehow error in opening file. Okay, now at the end of the file you must close your file as well. It's a good habit. So this is how we can close the file. Now run your program by pressing Ctrl plus F5 at the same time. There is an error. Is open is also a function, I think. So run your program again. Okay, now I'm going to write the name of the student, which is like Haris. Now the marks of Haris are 91. Now the program is completed. Now I'm going to check that whether the my file contains that record or not. For that I need to go to the documents, my Visual Studio, my projects, and whatever the project I have. Now C++ filing, and here is the name of my file test, and it contains Haris and 91. So I have successfully stored the data. As I am using the append mode, if I store one more record, then it will store that record at the end of the existing record. So for the next record I'm going to store Ali and 87. Program is terminated. Now check your program again. So here is Ali and the 87 I have found. So this is how we can use to store the data into my file. Now I'm going to access that data from my file. Okay, so for that I need to change this off stream to the if stream, because I'm going to take input from my file. So for reading the data from the file, we don't need to give this mod, because I'm just going to read the data from the file. I'm not going to modify that particular file in the case of reading. So here I have read the data. I have checked the file whether the file is open or not, and then I'm going to use the while loop, and I'm keep on reading the data from the file until the file not ends. Okay, for that I need to use the while loop. Now here I'm going to use the get line function of C++, which takes two parameter. Number one is the source from where I'm going to get my data, which is my file. For that I need to pass it here my file. And number two, in which I'm going to take the input. I'm going to take the input in line variable, so I have write it here a line variable. So now I simply have to write it here, print that variable cout line, and here I am going to write it here handle. So it in this line it will take get line from my file. It will take input from the file line by line. Then I will print that line on the screen by using this line. So this is how we can use take the input from the file and then print on the file as well. So now if I run my program again, it will show me some data. So here it is showing me Haris 91, Ali 87. So this is how we can take the input from the file as well as write data onto the file. So I hope it will help you. Thank you for watching my video.